Hi everyone! In this video I am painting over this pencil sketch using my very large Daniel Smith watercolor palette. Yeah, it's been a little while since I used this palette, so I thought I would use it in this video. And I'm also using some new paper that I wanted to try out. It is a 100% cotton mixed media paper. And I've been looking for a sketchbook for a really long time in this size with hot press watercolor paper that wasn't so incredibly smooth that nothing would stick to it. And it's been really hard to find. This is spiral bound from the top, so it's not exactly a sketchbook, but it is the size that I wanted and the type of paper that I wanted, so I settled for it. I just need to really see if it's going to take some washes and some serious water, because my wonderful friend Temmah gifted me these watercolor brushes, and these are some serious water holders. They've got a lot of ability to hold decent amounts of water in them, and I don't know if my paper is going to hold up to that, but that's what I like to do, is try out a whole bunch of stuff at one time. I thought this would be a good opportunity to try out the brushes, try out the paper, try out doing a sketch with micron pen, and as you saw earlier, I took a kneadable eraser and lightened up the sketch a little bit. I left some of the shadows in and shading that I did with the pencil so I could remember where to go in with the darker watercolor from the photo reference. And yeah, I think I kind of took on a lot at one time for this video, but it was something I wanted to do anyway, and so I thought I'd film it just to see if it, if it came out all right enough to upload. But yeah, usually I'm painting from imagination, and I don't do photo references a whole lot, although they make good studies. And when I find myself getting either bored or feeling limited in my imaginary drawings, then I try to go back to studying form and shadow and light so that I can incorporate that into my my regular art. So these brushes are extremely nice. They take some getting used to because I'm not used to working with this much water, and I think that's a paper issue really more than it is a brush issue. Hence trying out the all cotton paper, which usually is a pretty thirsty paper, so it can handle a lot of water, but I'm not used to this brand of paper and the fact that it was mixed media, or at least they call it mixed media, but I don't know. I see 100% cotton and I think that's pretty much watercolor paper, so not really sure at this point in the video whether or not this painting is going to make it with all this water. So I do, at some point, which I normally don't do, is I stop the video and I allow it to dry, and then I come back and continue on with a couple of more layers, which is another thing I normally don't do. So that was also something I wanted to try out. And yeah, maybe since I'm using Temmah's brushes, I will have some luck at some of the things that Temmah does so good in her watercolors, and that is the layering and the blending. So I would imagine that this isn't going to look like a lot of my usual paintings, because I usually paint incredibly bold and with this much water and this much layering, it's going to be a little bit lighter and airier than what I'm used to. And as a result of that, I keep feeling like throughout this entire painting, like it's just not dark enough. So I just have to, be patient. That's another, what is that, like 8 things now in this video that I'm working on that I'm not used to. Patience being number 1. So, yeah. I love trying new stuff and then recording it and then showing everybody what the heck. This photo reference was actually from a coloring book, I think. Yeah, it's like a grayscale coloring book, but I got it mostly for the poses, and I think there's a lot of flowers in some of these portraits that are in this book. And it does have quite a bit of shading because it's grayscale, so it's, you can study it. It's similar to looking up just about any other type of realistic photograph and painting from that. But because it's a grayscale coloring book, I can see it better. And if I work from an actual photo reference of, a live person or a photo that I've taken of somebody that I know, then I have to put it on my iPad and then zoom in on it a lot and stuff. But with the coloring book or black and whites or grayscales, I can have a little bit more freedom. Like I can just kind of glance over at it and see the values, but I can't get the details. So that's kind of a good thing though when you're working from photo references, because you don't really want to copy the detail. Maybe until the end when you're just trying to get some last minute touches in. But while you're establishing all of your values, you want to just be able to glance at it and only focus on that, which is not real hard for me to do since that's kind of all I can see. So I'm always trying to take advantage of my disadvantage. Gotta flip this script. So the colors that I used were pretty limited here. Mostly this last row of my palette is all of my browns and skin tones, and I think I have some Payne's gray and some black that I used for the darker shadows. But my favorite all-time skin tone base, and yeah, I didn't mention the one technique that I was also trying in this video, which was I loaded up that Princeton brush with just a heavy wash of Italian deep ochre and went over the entire image. So I didn't go around things like I would normally do, like I would go around the mouth and the eyes and leave all the white in there. I didn't do that. I just went over everything with that Italian ochre. And it's like the color of toast. It's really, really pretty, and it can go either direction. So you can build up some really dark skin tones with it. You can leave it as it is. You can add some warmth to it. It's just like, to me, it's like the perfect base for skin tones. And it's somewhat transparent for an ochre. Ochres are notoriously opaque, but this one is really, really nice and light and clear. So that's what I did. I went over the whole thing, washed it all with that Italian ochre, and then went in with those other deeper tones like the burnt umber and the Payne's gray. One other color I ended up adding later for the skin is the quinacridone sienna. It's a multi-pigment mix, but it's very transparent. It's super warm, and it's just a little peachier than the burnt orange, but it's another really nice skin tone color for fair skin. So yeah, you see me keep checking to see how wet the paper is, if it can take another load of color. And then I eventually switched to my synthetic brush and get some black because I just could not handle any more lack of contrast. I really needed that. I try not to ever use black, but you know, unless I'm doing gouache or something. But yeah, I went in with the black. I just couldn't not use the black anymore. And I grabbed my Van Gogh number 6 synthetic Taklon brush because I don't think this paper could handle any more water. And I just wanted to drop in some black, and I really wanted it to stay where I put it. So here I go with the black. I think the only other color that I used that wasn't the ones that I just mentioned was some blue that I put in her scarf and some quinacridone coral that I used in her lips. And then I think here I am going in with another wash of that Italian ochre over everything, over her face, because that was dry enough to put another layer. I mean, I'm sure if I let this dry again for a third time, went in and layered it up again, it'd probably take some more values and depth and tone, but yeah, I'm not real familiar with this paper, so I didn't want it to start like disintegrating. I mean, it shouldn't, it's cotton, but I think it's even handmade. It's by a company called Indigo Papers. I think I'm gonna have to work on it a little bit more to see if I really like it or not, but I think the main reason I wanted it too was so I could do colored pencil detail on top of my watercolor paintings when I was, you know, when they were dry. So I didn't do that for this one, but yeah, I think it's weird how the world of like watercolor paper says it has 2 choices of texture, but there's really multiples. So it's like what, either hot press or cold press, but no. You've got hot press that is slightly textured, or you've got hot press that is so slick that it won't even take paint. And then you got cold press that can be almost as smooth as a textured hot press paper. And then you've got, you know, your mid-range, what you'd normally consider cold press. And then you've got like super rough and extra rough. And I mean, you never really know until you get your paper what it's going to be like. So this was fairly smooth, but it felt like a rough vellum. I mean, it took the micron okay. And it seems to be taking this watercolor pretty well, even though these were some absolutely heavy washes, but I think it came out a little bit more like someone else painted this. But yeah, you gotta switch things up every now and then, try new things, and see if you can get some different effects, maybe what you're missing. Have some other options. I just really admire a lot of different types of art and artists and the techniques that they use. And I really love art. So everyone have a good night.